I just want to make something.
What's up, guys? Back again here with another plugin slash preset for Adobe Premiere Pro. Sorry guys, just had to quickly interrupt before we get on with the rest of the tutorial. Just wanted to make sure y'all know that this plugin slash preset is completely free. To download it, please just read the instructions in the description below. And if you do end up doing that, a like and sub would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, let's get on with the tutorial. Today we got the PARALLAX 2.5D, I guess you could say, effect that you can apply to certain photos. This is a semi-preliminary plugin, maybe for people who aren't as experienced in a program like After Effects, where you can get a little bit crazier parallax effects. That being said, this plugin still does work super well, and it's super easy to use. So for any beginner, intermediate, or advanced editors, content creators, whatever, this shouldn't really be that hard to do. Yeah, let's jump right into this. First off, as you can see, I just dragged a photo that I got from Pexels into the timeline here, and it automatically goes to 5 seconds, which is perfect and what you need for this plugin to work. You can make it longer and shorter, but I'll show you how to do that at the end of the video. First thing you want to notice with this photo that I chose, and this is something to keep in mind when you're choosing a photo that you're going to use with this plugin, is that it has a very clear foreground, midground, and background. And that's super apparent in this. Now, the first thing you want to do is we're going to have to cut out each of the perspectives, each of the grounds, the foreground, the midground, and the background. If you have any experience in Photoshop or have Photoshop, it might be easier just to do it in there. No fear if you don't and you want to do it all completely in Premiere Pro. I have a way to do that, so just stick around. But if you know how to cut things out in Photoshop, simply just trim out the foreground, export it as a PNG so there's a transparent background, cut out the midground, export out as a PNG, and the background export out as a PNG. If not, you can do it in Premiere Pro as well. It might take, I don't know, depending on the photo. If it's a more detailed photo, then it might be a lot easier to do it in Photoshop. But for one like this, I just do it in Premiere Pro regardless. Save you the time than opening another program. So first thing you want to do is duplicate this photo twice. I'm going to hold down Alt and drag up and drag up. Now we've got 3 of the same image all stacked on top of each other. Just for example purposes, I'm going to toggle off the back 2. So as I cut this out, it should be very easy to see. So we're going to start with the foreground. I might speed this up a little bit, but I'll show you how to do it first. You're going to come over here to your effects controls. I've already got mine open on the selected top clip, which is going to be the foreground. So the top clip in the timeline is going to be the foreground. We are going to create a mask. I'm going to use the free draw tool, and we are just going to start by cutting out the foreground. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so it's a bit easier, and I might just rip through this as quick as I can. This, I think it's a woman, is clearly in the foreground. Sometimes it's easier just to get a little bit tighter for the smaller details. These details do kind of matter as the longer you take, the better your shot will look. And usually for these things, they're just little filler B-roll shots in the middle of your edit. So a lot of the time, move that there. The viewer is not really going to notice these tiny details, but if you're a little bit of a perfectionist like me, then you'll take a little bit extra time and just cut things out properly. So I'm going to speed through this and I'll show you what we do once we get to the end. All right, guys, so as you can see, I have the foreground completely cut out here. Kind of rough, but it works. Now I'm just going to do the midground, so stick tight as we rip through that. I will jump in real quick here, guys, just to show you. Sometimes if you're doing something a little bit more detailed here, the mask tool can be a little bit hard to deal with. So if you're trying to make tight clicks and you keep clicking on the wrong thing, just go a little bit further like that, and then just drag it into place. You've probably noticed me do that a couple times. Anyways, I'll just speed through the rest of this here. All right, guys, there we got the midground cut out. Pretty quick. Only took me a couple minutes, for you a couple seconds, but yeah, super simple. Now, as you can see, we got the foreground completely cut out. Now we got the midground as well, and of course the background. In most cases, you don't even need to cut out the background. I'm going to, just to make the example a little bit more clear, as I use the plugin for the tutorial's sake. Sometimes it can help if you cut out the background, but you'll see why in a minute. So I'm gonna just quickly chop out the background, and yeah, I'll be back in a second. Right on, guys. Now, if you look closely, we got the background, the midground, and the foreground, all separated nice and neatly. Here's the important part. First off, if I haven't mentioned it yet, to download the PARALLAX plugin / preset for free, just read the download instructions in the description below. And yeah, if you're new to using plugins or presets, super simple to install. Just come to your preset folder in the effects tab, right click, and you can select import preset and just import the preset. Find the preset in your downloads or wherever it is, and click import, and it'll import easily, and you'll have this beautiful little preset / plugin right here. Now, as you can see, first thing I want to mention, you will see there's these little black lines. That's because the cutouts aren't perfect. Don't worry. If those bother you, we will address it. They bother me, so I have a very simple fix to deal with those at the end of the tutorial. Now, this next step is very important. If we just drag these, the preset onto each of the layers right now, it would mess up because it would adjust it in the mask. So what you need to do first before dragging them on is right-click each layer and select Nest. This will just nest the sequence and all that editing you've done. So when you slide the preset on, it won't affect inside the mask. I hope that makes sense. And don't worry, if you ever need to edit your cutouts, just double click on whichever one you want and it'll open up the nested sequence, and then you can simply adjust what you need. However, I'm just going to exit out of that for now. So now's the fun part, to get your parallax effect. As you can see, you've got background, foreground, and midground here. As stated, just slide the preset onto each one. So we know the foreground's at the very top here, so we're just going to slide foreground onto the top one, midground onto the middle one, and background onto the bottom one. Now, as you can see, we basically already have that parallax effect. Now is the part where we get rid of those ugly black lines. First thing you want to do is come into your whichever one you want to do first. We're going to start with the foreground like usual. And we are just going to come down into our effect, the transform effect that we just added by dragging the foreground plugin onto here. Come in here and find your anchor point. Simply hit the little stopwatch to enable keyframes. And as you can see, the first one is keyed in. Now, slide to the very end of the frame. Sorry, one back. And we'll just adjust the anchor point so it covers up the black. Super simple. As you can see, I'm just sliding the digits over here, and now we're going to mess with the vertical digits. Sort of get that woman kind of covered there. Boom. There we go. And as you can see, oh, looks like there's a little bit more black up here, which I don't really like. So in the middle, we might just add one more keyframe and pull you across. Oh no, then we have that black spot. We are going to delete that, and we are going to pull up to block it. There we go. Boom. Now the last thing you can do is come over here and highlight all your, or just right click all your effects and set it to Bezier, which will just smooth out the animation. Yeah, I like that. Beautiful. And as you can see, there's a little bit at the start here, which I also don't like. You could just come right over here to the scale at the very beginning. And yeah, as you can see, there's already keyframes in here. That's totally fine. We're just going to change the scale to 102. Perfect. Made it a little bit bigger, but that's totally okay because we'll just come back to our anchor point and adjust. We have a couple pixels to work with. And that's good enough for me. Perfect. So we got this foreground coming in. Now we got to deal with the midground. Same things apply. We are going to go to our anchor point. Super simple. I like it where it is right now, except we might adjust the scale just a little bit and start before we do the anchor point this time. Should have done that last time. 103, that gives us a little bit of plane room. There we go. We're not super worried about this line because we still have the background to do. It's more just in here that we're messing with. And yeah, I really like that actually. So we'll set the initial anchor point, then we'll come to the end. And once again, I'm not really worried about that house or any black there, because the background, we have a lot of stuff to work with. Boom, boom, boom. I actually want to go a little bit further back here to make that cutout of the person less visible. Beautiful. There we go. Let's see what we got. Nice. I'm not really liking, this is where you have to fiddle with it a little bit. I'm not really liking that little sway we do here. I feel like it's a little bit too drastic. And I'm sort of happy with this. It's just that this cutout of this girl we did. The little sticking out points is always the tricky part, but you can be creative. I'm going to show you one other trick that you can use. Simply drag all those up and add one more of the photo. As you can see, that black part sort of disappears because we just have one more base layer. And it sort of does work up here for us too. You see, if I get rid of this, we have the black, and that sort of fixes it. But I don't really like how awkward this this house is looking. So we are still going to adjust the background. And all we're going to do with this is, once again, come down into here. We're going to mess with the anchor point. And we're sort of just going to drag everything down. I'm going to take that off so we can see these black bars. Anchor point. Actually, we'll reset that. We're just going to bring it down, which we like, which is totally great. And then we're just going to increase the scale, because this background is so plain. It gives us a lot of play. So we're at 123 there. We actually went down. We only increased it, so we'll go 133. because on the background layer we only increased the scale by about 10 points. Don't like that. We still got a lot of little black bars there. We're gonna completely reset the anchor point. Once again, guys, we're just fiddling with this. And we are going to go bigger, bigger, bigger. No big issue. On the scale part, we're gonna mess with the position this time instead. See, we got a lot of play now, boom. So we're at 131 here. On the background layer, it's the least amount of movement, so we're gonna go from 131 to 141. We're gonna just delete this keyframe, pop, and then we'll go 141. That should give us everything we need. All right, guys, so I still don't like exactly how, as we slide through here, there's that space from the cutout girl. All we are gonna do is come back into our transform. And we are gonna mess with the position just a little bit. So we know we already have some room to play with, so we're just gonna center her up at the position we want, and we are going to add in a keyframe. And then we are just going to move ahead a few frames and reposition so she covers that hole. Couple more frames. Ba, 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 ba. Oops. I'm just jumping ahead a bunch of frames there by clicking. She covers up that hole nice and easily. And we're basically there. Maybe just one more little adjustment. And it looks like we might need one more just at the end here. We'll slide you right over that little hole. And one more right at the end here. And that's good enough for me. So, I chose an image with these little smaller cutouts like the house and the girl, just to show you that you still can do it on this. It takes a little bit of work, but if you just had a landscape video like you saw in the intro with the mountains, that literally took me a minute to do. This one, you have to fiddle with a little bit more. One more thing we can do is always add our little Benzer effect there. Oops. Add it to these ones. Benzer. Benzer. There we go. And as you can see, you get this really cool parallax. I just love how these look. And yeah. And of course, I almost forgot, there is one more thing you can do. As you saw in our presets, Oops. Sorry. There we go. There's one more thing we can slide on here, and that's the adjustment, just to give the effect just a little bit more depth, and I love this. First thing you want to do is go File, New, and just make sure you have our project selected there. New adjustment layer, which I can't see all of a sudden, but we found it. Boom. And just drag the adjustment layer right on top. And add the adjustment effect to the adjustment layer. So you can see it's added right there, and this will just give the photo even a little bit more depth. It adds a little bit of rotation, a little bit extra zoom, and just really brings this still image alive. Yeah, that's about it. If you're still here at the end, I'd really appreciate a like or a sub if you end up downloading it or just watching the tutorial. It really helps out the channel and yeah, helps us grow. That is basically all I wanted to say. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with this. Have some fun, mess around, super easy. Really add some depth to your photos. I hope you enjoyed, and bye-bye.